ton of things happening in the pro wrestling world as usual. But I'm going to start with a little bit of some serious topics for you because I want to hear your perspective on some of these things. Because you are African American, and the comments Swerve Strickland has made recently, and some other stuff that's been coming up on Twitter, I really want to hear your perspective on this. Of course, Swerve just got that new contract, and he is making some serious coin. Good for him. We were talking about that, I think, the last time you were on the show, that he got the bag. But he made a comment on the Breakfast Club this week that when, of course, WWE had said, they overpaid, they weren't happy about it. Swerve's comments back were the only complaint when a black person gets paid. I will say that. We shake the foundation of things like that. Oh, snap, wait, that's not what we would pay. Then why are you calling me? Why are you asking me? If I'm not your concern, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about my pockets and our money. We're good. You have your talent. You made your decision with me 2 years ago. No hard feelings for me. I keep it moving. I'm going to figure my way out. I'm going to build myself up. So I thought it was interesting that he said that, because there's been some other comments being made about African Americans not being on pay-per-views on WWE, and that's been flying around X lately too. But on Swerve's comments, do you think that's fair for him to say that? I'm torn on it, because I can understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I think WWE was just kind of ticked off that Tony Khan raised the, shall we say, raised the bar on salaries, and they're not happy about it. What did you think when you heard all this?
I think that Swerve has a lot of credence to say what he's saying, because the last time that WWE, basically this is WWE's PR department more than, X, whoever you want to say is your favorite management in WWE. It's more of their PR department that it kind of likes to put out these stories as far as like, oh, Tony Khan overpaid for this person, overpaid for that person. But the last two major times they've said that was with Mercedes Moné and with Swerve Strickland. Will Ospreay got a big amount of money. Then their story was Triple H saying, "Oh, he's running away from the grind because he picked AEW over WWE." Kashiko Okada, they gave Shinsuke Nakamura a whole push last year just to sign him, and he signed a big money deal with AEW. And they didn't say the same thing, the same verbiage that they said with Mercedes and with Swerve. With Mercedes, they wanted to offer her an amount of money that wasn't equal or of the same value of a Charlotte Flair, of a Becky Lynch, and then she decided to go to AEW, and they were like, oh, they overpaid her. That's the reason that she's going over there. And now with Swerve Strickland, they're saying, oh, they overpay him. We wouldn't have paid him that type of money. Yes, it is a part of what you're saying, that yes, Tony Khan is raising the market value, but we have to kind of pay attention and acknowledge the fact that the two times that they're saying that Tony Khan overpaid is with African American talent.
That is interesting. And then, of course, we've been seeing a lot of comments about how, not a lot of black males on the WWE premium live events. And that's been getting pointed out quite a bit. And once again, it's an interesting situation because there's not that many on the main roster. There's a lot of great talent down in NXT, but kind of running down the roster, I was looking and I'm like, I didn't realize there were so few black wrestlers on the main rosters right now. It's kind of odd when I think about it. And I'm not saying WWE is racist or anything like that. I could never back that up if I could, but from your perspective, what do you think about the situation with black representation on the main rosters and what's been happening in terms of booking?
I have noticed it. I didn't like make it that big of a deal until kind of we see what the fallout was with Bobby Lashley leaving the company. because Triple H was not booking him to his satisfaction, and he made that decision with his contract expiring to leave the company. And it made me pay attention to the fact that Triple H has been in the head of creative since the summer of 2022 with Vince McMahon, resigned for the first time. That's when Triple H was kind of brought into power. And since then, someone who I thought was like a top 5 star in the company, Bianca Belair, she has basically kind of hit the back burner. She's been used more to help out a Jay Cargo and prop up that star than being viewed as a mainline star, a top star on the same level of a Rhea Ripley. I think that they've kind of put her on the back burner or brought her down a bit. And then, sometimes when a person is on top for a long time, you got to bring them back down to make their rise a little bit bigger. So that was fine. Then you look at the Street Profits. The Street Profits were one of the most popular tag teams in WWE. And a lot of nights they get one of the loudest pops of anybody out there. But we have to acknowledge the fact that in the 2 years that Triple H has been in power as the head of creative, they've gone down a couple of steps. Like, they haven't been tag team champions in 3 years. They haven't, been in like the tag team title program until very recently. And I think that they have kind of been put on the back burner. They were put in that whole stable with Bobby Lashley. They wanted to push them as heels, but they are just way too over and way too likable with the fans. So they had to bring them back to babyface. And then they put them in a 4-month feud with the TikTokers and Karrion Kross. And then they would just kind of just push down the shelf a little bit. They're being brought back more and being given a spotlight, the last couple of weeks, and that's good, but we have to acknowledge the fact that they have been brought down. Like, it's just way too many black talents under the Triple H regime have kind of been put on the back burner, where, you then look at the roster with the Bobby Lashley, with the MVP leaving. They moved Cedric Alexander over to NXT because seemingly black talents get more of an opportunity over there. But I think that the reason that the black talents haven't been featured enough on premium live events is more of a structure issue, which I have been very adamant in pointing out that the Triple H 5-match routine for these premium live events is an issue. And it really kind of goes on to some of these talents that should be featured on premium live events more often. Like Andrade and Carmelo Hayes have stole the show 6 times with their series. They deserve a spot on a premium live event. I'm hoping they get that for Crown Jewel or Survivor Series, but the fact that they've had 6 matches and none of them have been on premium live events, that says something. And the fact that they're in a program right now with one of your most popular baby faces in the company in LA Knight, that when they eventually do that triple threat, that better be on a premium live event and not on TV. Or I'm once again going to point out the 5-match merchant that Triple H is. It worked in NXT. It worked for takeovers. It does not work with 2 brands on the main roster when you have 100 different talents on both shows that you can feature on premium live events. You have to at least go to 6 for B pay-per-views. Like, 5 matches is not enough for these premium live events. People are paying $300 per ticket for some of these international shows. Like, in the cheap seats, they're playing 300 pound, and that's even more US American dollars than what we would pay. They are paying that for 5 matches with an hour worth of commercials in between. Yeah, you get an opportunity to stretch your legs and go to concessions, but I'm sorry, I'm not paying that much for 5 matches.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of reasons behind all of that. And I think that's a very interesting point, that it almost seems like WWE is taking a less is more approach right now on a lot of these PLEs that aren't the main ones. And, I don't know if that's right or not. I mean, I think that I get it to a point, but at the same time, like you said, they're leaving a lot of people off of these PLEs that need to get the chances. Now, I don't want them to go the Tony Khan route and make it 12 or 13, but 7.
We could meet in the middle. 7? Yeah, just meet in the middle.
Yeah,
And even with Tony Khan, sorry to interrupt, but even with Tony Khan, we saw with like All In had 9 matches, All Out had 8 matches on the main card. Like he's coming more into the middle than Triple H seems to be willing to do with the 5 matches.
Yeah, and then it causes problems like this. Perceptions that you're slighting, African American talent or whomever. It's very difficult now. We got Xavier Woods getting back into the spotlight a little bit, which I think is going to be interesting. But I'll share a little quick story about what guys like them mean to the African American community. When I was here in Las Vegas for a SmackDown, and it was the night that Bailey trashed the Bailey Buddies, if you remember that evening.
Yeah.
The New Day came out, and I was sitting right next to a black family, a couple of young kids. And when the New Day came out, they went nuts. I mean, they went crazy. And you could just tell what that meant to them to have, black role models coming out for these wrestling matches. I mean, it was, I'm sitting there like, wow, they really love these guys. And I don't think it was just because, they're funny and cool, but because, you feel like you've got somebody that represents you, and it's important. And I think that the fact that people are starting to see this, WWE's got to make some changes on this quick. Maybe pull some guys up, start featuring people more. Like you said, get that Carmelo Andrade feud on a PLE, because whether it's accidental or it's or intentional, you don't want that perception out there. You just don't.
And that's the reason why I've been saying for the last couple of months now that we as fans have to speak up and say something. Like, because that is what caused the change originally in WWE. Vince McMahon was very much akin to this, where he wouldn't feature the black talent in prominent roles. But we spoke up, we said something, and he was forced. He was basically had his hands tied to push the New Day up there, to put Kofi Mania and having his moment at WrestleMania 35, for Bobby Lashley to become a WWE champion, for Big E to become a WWE champion. Even back in the 2000s, someone like Booker T was able to elevate into that spot. We have to say something, because Triple H right now, I think that sometimes he's kind of in that complacent mode, because WWE is hotter than it's ever been. It's on fire. It's going to the stratosphere, and there seems to not be a ceiling. They're just broke through the ceiling, and they're going past the moon with how successful and how their business is going, whether it be ratings, whether it be profits, whether it be live events. They are above and beyond anything that they could have imagined. But when you get into that place, you feel very complacent, and you're like, I can do no wrong. Y'all gonna take it. Y'all gonna love it. Y'all gonna buy a ticket. Y'all gonna watch the show. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. But we as fans have to speak up and be like, no, that part you need to change.
Hi, pro wrestling fans. Mark Hoke here. I'd really appreciate it if you would take a moment to join the Mark Hoke Show family, and please click on the subscribe button below. Also, please stick around and check out the incredible sponsor of this video. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on the Mark Hoke Show YouTube channel.
Hey there, adventure seeker. Ready to unlock incredible hotel deals? Get a free membership and save up to 50%. Stay grand. Spend less. The simplest site. The best unpublished hotel deals. TheTravelShark.com.